Hi everyone, it's Nick. Welcome back to my channel. Okay, in today's video, we are going to be reacting to other publications' 2025 interior design trends. So I love talking about trends. You love hearing about trends. Maybe you don't, but you clicked on the video, so here you are. Okay, I love them, and I just think it's fun. It's just fun to get ideas about the silly things people do in their homes. And I love that every year, publications like Vogue and Business Insider, which is super random, and like what else, House and Garden, Home and Garden, whatever it's called. You know, all those guys. They always, Pinterest, like they all come out with their lists of like what they think the trendy things are, which I do too. But I also love to like react to them and be like, you're full of crap. Or maybe they're great. And that's what we're gonna do in this video. So let's have fun and see what other people are up to and what other people think is trending for 2025 in home decor. Let's get going. Okay, first of all, let's talk about Home and Garden. Home and Garden, their first one is wild, which is indoor swings. They were like, Gwyneth Paltrow has one. I don't care. If we really did everything Gwyneth Paltrow did and called it a trend, you know what I mean? Like, there's just no way. There's no way people are putting indoor swings in. I do see occasionally, like maybe if you've got a quirky B&B, like people tend to do like really weird, funny, stupid things in their house. Like, I don't know, put a slide in or whatever, which don't get me wrong, seems like a really good time. Like it seems fun to put like a slide going down from your like top floor and you can like slide down in the morning. The truth is though, it seems like it's fun, but then you're probably not gonna slide down before you've had your coffee. Do you know what I mean? Like you're probably not gonna use it. And so sometimes you see these like kiddie sort of things that seem fun, but they're just really not. Like a lot of these hidden passageways for me, they seem to fit into that same sort of category a little bit, like fun for 5 minutes, but probably not forever. Which is why like if you have an Airbnb or you have like, I don't know, a rental, no, your tenants don't care. Your tenants don't want to slide down either. Do you know what I mean? Like maybe if you've got a little B&B or something and you're running like basically a hotel out of your home, maybe that's fun for guests, but for the most part, all these like silly kiddie things just don't make sense. The indoor swings, I would put in this category. Like a porch swing, maybe okay, I guess, but like inside, no one's doing this. Like, what are you doing, Home and Garden? Like, I really don't think there's that many people putting indoor swings in their house. I just don't really see it, especially the ones that they have are like mounted from the ceiling. Like these are not even like, do you know like those ones, we had one in like the 80s that's like the little like egg and then it's like hung on this little thing. Not even that. Like they're hung from the freaking beams. Like there's just no way people are doing this in their home. I'm sorry. This one's a miss for me. Sorry, Home and Garden. Okay, next up is decorating with brown. Okay, here's the other thing with these lists, you guys, that because I look at a lot of them and try to pick out the most fun ones. Decorating with brown is on their list here now. Like decorating with brown. A lot of these are like, they're super been done for a long time. Like it's kind of like shooting fish in a barrel at this point. Like, I mean, you have to be pretty, I mean, I know I do this for a living and like a lot of you maybe just like stumbled on me for the first time and you don't know anything about what's trending in home decor, and I'm not judging you for it. But like those of us that actually pay attention to trends in home decor know that decorating with brown is not like a super current 2025 thing. Like it's been happening for a few years now. Are they wrong? No, of course not. Of course they're not wrong. People are using brown is the new neutral. Brown is the new gray. Do you know what I mean? Like if you still think that everybody's doing the millennial gray and in 2025, they're just not. I mean, some people are, because some people just love gray and they're all the power to you. It's a fine neutral. But as far as it being super trendy, the everything gray, millennial, drab sort of thing, that's just like, it's not trendy and it hasn't been trendy for a few years. So brown is not like new, but we definitely did see a shift in like 2021, 2022, definitely 2022 onwards, where we saw more moving towards warmer neutrals. That is not something that is like a brand new trend for 2025, but they're not wrong. Like it's still happening. So I guess I will agree. It's just not a particularly inspiring choice in terms of the bleeding edge, but you know, yeah, they're not wrong. So yes, wood tones are in, brown is in, beige is in, and you don't have to like it. You know, I just don't like most trends that come my way. Well, yeah, I don't like most trends that come my way, but that doesn't mean that it's not fun for other people. So, you know, beige, brown, chocolate brown, tan, blah, 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 blah. Like they're all in. Even look at like Benjamin Moore, where they have their color of the year as like a purpley brown. It's more purple than brown, but they're saying it's purpley brown. Everything just has that brown warmth undertone to it. And remember brown, like it's kind of in the color wheel, sort of sits alongside orange. So like it very much leans in the warmer direction, and it's sort of just a fine, it's not a true neutral in that sense, but it acts like a neutral because especially in interiors, it works so well because you got wood flooring, you got wood furniture, like it just works so well. And that's why brown is super trendy and has been for a while. And I don't think it's gonna go anywhere for a few years. Inevitably we'll get sick and we'll be like, the new thing is gray. And we'll go right back to a different neutral, but for now, brown is in, I will agree. Okay, next up that Home and Garden has here is layered lighting. This is my other pet peeve. Can I just say with these trendy lists, and it's a minor pet peeve, because like none of this matters, but like no one's curing cancer here. Do you know what I mean? Like it doesn't really matter, but still it's fun. It bugs me when they just like people call trends that are like just good design. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, what are you gonna say? Like, super on trend, good space planning. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, we already knew that already. But anyway, this one is layered lighting. And layered lighting is just like good design. I guess it's trendy. I guess, okay, let me say it. Good lighting, like consistent lighting temperature, more than just one light in the center of your, it's always gonna make your space good. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's always a good idea, whether it's 1970, 1999, 2004, 2016, 2025. Like, it's always a good idea to have different lighting sources lighting your space. That is just always true. That is something that is just, we're gonna call that timeless. Good lighting, do you know what I mean? Like, it just is something that one should always be doing. Now, would I call this a hot trend? Listen, I will say people seem to have had a bit of an awakening in the last few years that table lamps and floor lamps and things are important. And so I guess there's been a renewed interest in interesting lighting, I suppose. I guess, are we gonna call it a trend? But again, it's just good design. It was good in 2015, I guess, even if no one was doing it. So we're trying to sort of wrapping up good design principles as trends, which sometimes I'm like not always a super big fan of, but a little bit of pet peeve of mine, but that's okay. Yes, it's a trend, but let's be honest, it's always a good idea. Okay, next up is going to be Business Insider, who I love to like pick just because I think it's so random that they come out with this. But honestly, like, what is Business Insider but like a content farm? Like, it's just basically pumping out content for everything. It's the Watch Mojo of publications. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're just making things for it, just for fun. Like, let's just keep going. So Business Insider has no business coming out with a trend list, but I just love that they do it anyway. So they say here, one designer, it's gotta be true. I mean, I'm one person, I'm not even a designer, so what am I to say? So one designer, this person thinks this is true, said that the line between indoor and outdoor spaces will continue to blur. I'm going to agree. That actually made my list of interior design trends that I'm loving. Now, I will admit, again, because I'm a hypocrite, that it sort of contradicts what I said earlier about like sometimes, you know, like trends, they're not like super current and they've been happening for a few years. Indoor outdoor spaces are also nothing new. We've been doing this for a few years. I do feel that they're changing a little bit. I think that a lot of the indoor outdoor spaces, you know, yes, there's a lot of focus on that kind of big glass patio and the big, you know, doors in the indoor outdoor space. And that is still very trendy. And I do think it is worth talking about. And even if it has been happening for a few years, it still made my list, just like it did Business Insider. But I also think that there is room for lots of just really interesting architectural design spaces that do lots of really cool like skylights, that are doing those kind of big open folding doors, that are really getting sort of creative with things like courtyards, like inner courtyards. Some of them are accessible, some of them aren't accessible. They could have several rooms that are connected to this sort of little courtyard, so it's a bit of a hub there, which is really cute, maybe a little bistro table, do you know what I mean? Or they could just be glass, and they could just be just a little like, again, you'd have to hire an architect because this isn't sort of standard builder stuff, but where you sort of create sort of maybe a double height, so you've got lots of glass coming in there, or lots of sun coming in through double heighted glass. Like, there's a lot of really cool things that are happening that are connecting indoor outdoor as opposed to just a patio door. So yes, a patio door is wonderful, and that is also included in what we're talking about here, but I do think that there's just a lot more fun ways to let the light in, let the outdoors in, without necessarily just looking at that patio furniture. Again, things like in the ceiling, like in the case of skylights or things like that, or things outdoors, or people are having more fun with outdoor stuff, right? I mean, obviously the spa trend is very popular, so people building out, you know, hot tubs, or maybe they're doing saunas, or maybe they're doing steam showers, or no, you wouldn't do a steam shower, but like an outdoor shower, or maybe you're doing, what else are you doing? Like just little fun things that you're doing outside. Maybe you're one of those guys, unfortunately, who's like made their entire personality an ice bath, you know what I mean? Like maybe you're one of those guys, in which case people are putting ice baths in their backyards. Sure, why not? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's also included in this sort of conversation, because, you know, that's something, I mean, you wouldn't put an ice bath indoors, but it's like indoor activities like sauna or whatever, like things that were like spa and kept to the bathroom, now bringing them outdoors. That's part of included in this conversation. So just a lot more fun indoor outdoor. I will agree. Business Insider, I do agree with you. Art Deco styles are coming back to make spaces feel both vintage and fresh. Well. Every time Art Deco gets mentioned, I like falsely claim 100% responsibility for it. Listen, I didn't invent Art Deco, not even close, but I especially wasn't the only one predicting its resurgence. But I do love that Art Deco like is so popular because I loved it so much, and I really do feel to a certain degree like I willed it into existence. I don't think I have this much influence, to be honest, but I do love that it's trending again. I will agree. Here's the thing with Art Deco that really kind of, I knew it was going to be big, that you're going to start to see it in retailers, and this is something that I do when I look at a lot of my trend predictions of like where design is going. I always look at commercial design, because I fell in love with commercial design before I even loved residential design, to be honest. And here's the thing, residential design, it moves a little bit slower. And that's because people don't renovate their homes as quickly. You know, it might be every like 5-10 years, and people are generally a little bit safe when it comes to their homes, and understandably so, right? You're not wanting to take massive risks and things, you know, yes, there's always the people doing kooky crazy designs, and they hire whatever, Jonathan Adler or Kelly Wearstler or whoever, and they do some like cool avant-garde space. And yes, that stuff of course is happening, and it makes it into AD and all the rest of it. And John Legend wants his new home done by whatever. So who's the designer that did that one? Jake Arnold, right? You know what I mean? Like all that stuff, sure. But like, there's that, the bleeding edge stuff, which is like obviously very expensive and really creative and whatever. But there's also all the time, wherever you are, restaurants that are opening, retailers that are opening. And that stuff, I find, tends to be a little bit more creative because no one lives there. So like there's a lot more room for like the hottest restaurant in town to want to get creative with their space because they want to be the hottest place in town. And in order to do that, you kind of need to have your finger on the pulse of like what's gonna happen in design. And there's a lot more opportunity, I think, for designers to take risk in the latest coffee shop or the latest restaurant or whatever. So for me, I tend to look at commercial design as a little bit of a predictor of what's eventually gonna start filtering into residential. Just my little tip. I notice it a lot. You probably do now, and next time you go to your fancy, like new hottest restaurant in town, you're gonna also probably agree. I find that Art Deco really started to pop off in sort of like early kind of the 2020s, like during the, maybe even like the late 2010s, to be honest. Like it started to see a lot more focus on Art Deco, and I started to see those shapes and materials being used in commercial design a lot. And that made me think this is gonna come in residential eventually, because you started to see it creep into sort of those high-end designer homes, and then pretty soon you start to see it show up in mainstream retailers, which is where it sits right now, which is where Business Insider comes in and says, yes, we do believe this is a trend. Anyway, I believe that is the trend cycle for Art Deco. I think it's gonna be here for a while until inevitably, like all trends, we kind of get sick of it. But Art Deco really, there is a sort of just a classic with sort of its strong geometric lines, its beautiful luxury materials, its focus on lots of really bright colors, which is also super trendy right now. I think it has all the makings of a wonderful trend, so I think it'll be here for a bit. Okay, and then next up, they have mirrored surfaces are also becoming trendy. So they sort of allude to the fact that this is also tied into the Art Deco stuff, which I agree, but I wanna be really careful with this one because I do not wanna take us back to 2016 glam style. I really don't wanna see mirrored furniture like make a super huge comeback. Like we just got this stuff off of clearance at HomeSense. You know what I mean? We just got it out of here. People were still buying this stuff as of recently. Listen, we need to be careful with mirrors, is I think really where we're at here. Mirrors can be a wonderful thing. Obviously they're functional. You can check out your outfit, that's cool. They can make a space feel bigger because, well, that's how mirrors work, right? Like it gives the illusion that a space is much bigger. So there are some functional benefits. It does make a lot of sense to bring in some mirrors, but I do think we need to be really careful because mirrors can point into weird places. Mirrors can sort of play with the light and play with the space sort of in weird ways, and it can start to feel a little bit like kind of a funhouse mirrored effect, like you're at a carnival. Do you know what I mean? Where things are just lights bouncing back and forth, places are seen where they probably shouldn't. And this is especially true with your furniture. So like mirrored side tables, you know, maybe mirrored end tables, mirrored whatever. A lot of that, like, oh, those mirrored, I mean, they still got them on Wayfair, let's be honest, but those like mirrored, like case goods, like bedroom set, oh, all of that stuff. I think it really plays with the lines and sort of the sight lines a little bit in a weird way when it comes to a lot of spaces. So I think that mirrors are back, but they never really went. So I actually will, I guess in the end, I'm gonna disagree with this one because I can't go back. I can't go back to all the mirrored surfaces, you guys. Okay, next up is gonna be Deco, and they have said that their first one is vibrant maximalism. I will agree and not agree. Again, this is a little bit of an easy win because maximalism has, if you're in the know, has been trendy now for a while, but this is the word vibrant, I think that I wanna be really careful with. So the pictures that they have here, I would say doesn't actually really feel super 2025. There, I said it. I feel like it's a bit 2023 for me. And I know that seems like, what's really the difference, Nick? Here's the thing. Maximalism came in because Scandinavian and minimalism and everything was like super trendy. And minimalism and maximalism, there's like this sway, and it's always got its people that love the minimalists and the maximalists. They've been waiting for their moment to shine for a long time now, and they've been sick of the Scandi spaces. And there's been this big, you know, but ultimately the pendulum swings either way. And, you know, the Scandi spaces, the mid-century modern and the Japandi, you know, all those were super trendy and popular, and people loved sort of minimalism. It was all the rage. And then of course people responded by swinging completely in the other direction. and they went freaking cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And they were like, you know what? We're gonna go insane and we're gonna do some weird leopard print mixed with zebra print, mixed with cheetah print, mixed with mirrored furniture, mixed with some boho rug, mixed with some sort of floral curtains, mixed with some sort of, just weird. It went weird. And then like, I don't know, a random vintage art piece of some woman from 1910 and on their wall, you know what I mean? Or whatever, and ruffles. And like, it was insanity and it was crazy. And I personally didn't think that anybody was actually doing this in their home, but we were told that it was super trendy. Now I think maximalism is still popular. People are just like, they don't want to go right back to minimalism. I get it. But I think the like, you've lost your mind level of maximalism, like the cry for help maximalism, I think that's not really what's super trendy right now. I think we're dialing it back just a little smidge into something a little bit more livable for most people. So I will say maximalism, sure. Vibrant maximalism, which maybe they're just referring to the color, and yes, color is back, let's be honest, sure. But too kooky and like, no, that's not in for me. Next up is modern cottagecore. I will agree with this one. So this is, you know, cottagecore was sort of this throwback to like, let's just, I don't know, there was always mushroom prints everywhere and everybody wanted to go and pretend like they lived this agrarian lifestyle on a farm. Why? Because I don't know, maybe people were sick of urban living and sick of the pandemic and all the rest of it and just wanted to go retreat to a farm and live their days out with their mushrooms and their goats, I guess. I don't really know what they're doing out there, but that's maybe the plan. And that was what people were sort of reaching for. And I think this modern take is like, let's have a little bit of fun. Let's bring back some of those reclaimed woods. Let's bring back some of those like kind of details and like those vintage things that we found and some cookbooks and things. And like, let's get all cottagey, but let's also remember that like, we also like modern things too. And so bringing, you know, mixing it in with some modern lighting and stuff like that. And I think that I agree this is trendy. I worry like, is this the new modern farmhouse? Like, is modern cottage the new modern farmhouse? I don't know, because it's just like, it sometimes feels a little bit, to me, just my 2 cents, and you know I don't like to give my 2 cents very often, it feels like a little bit like it lacks context because you don't live in a farm. I know you were going to. I know you're going to in 2021. We were all there. We were like, if someone coughs on me and I'm gonna die. And then we were like, oh, let's go move to like the middle of nowhere with the goats, right? And we're gonna do the milk and all the rest of it. But then I think we all moved and we realized that's not us. And so for most people, maybe not you, maybe you love that, in which case, you know, I hope you have fun with your goats. But like for the rest of us, we decided not to go there. And so I just worry that sometimes this lacks the context because you do like, you know, you probably live in a suburb. That's the reality, right? Again, you live in a suburb of Atlanta and you just don't have that many goats around you. So what are you gonna do? Well, maybe don't decorate your entire place in cottagecore. Just a thought. So this could be the new modern farmhouse, but for now, sure, I will agree, but I'm skeptical. Okay, and then finally from Elle Decor, we have curved sofas. I'm gonna also put this on, again, I'm not immune to it because I did the whole indoor outdoor spaces, which were trendy for a few years and like arguably isn't like the hot 2025 thing, but I will let it go if it's still trendy. Curved sofas, again, this one gets a little bit of a pass, but not really. Curved sofas have been popular for a long time. And again, like a good like 5 years. Like I've been on YouTube now, like 4.5 years, you guys, and I've been talking about curved sofas now since I freaking just first started on this platform. Like we have the Gwyneth, you know, pink with the little curvo chair from CB2. My God, I've been talking about that sofa for years. Like that is not a new thing. Are they still popular? I guess. We see curves, but I don't see them as curvy. I think like rounded edges, maybe more than straight up curves. And the reason for that is oftentimes, and this is again, oftentimes when I look at like trends that are on the way out, is I look of like, how are real people living? Like real honest to goodness people, like not people that live like at their places are photographed for Elle Decor, you know? And the truth is that I think if you're dealing with a smaller space, oftentimes a curved sofa is not that practical. It can be. The advantages of curves and circles, in my personal opinion, one great advantage is like you can move around them fairly easily, right? So squares take up a little bit more space, they got those hard edges and they can be difficult to maneuver around, so it can be good. That's why I like a round dining table, for example, in a dining area or a kitchen where space is limited because, you know, it helps people sort of circulate around. Well, a square might be a little bit too bulky and harder for people to kind of move around. So circles and curves can be great for that reason. They are also a little bit of a waste of space. So because you're losing out on sort of that real estate towards the edges, you oftentimes just don't have the kind of room that you maybe would need if you were going for something of a rectangle or a square. Curved sofas are, I think, less practical for most people than a curved or rounded dining table is because you're losing that space around the edges and just doesn't make sense unless you have a large space where, you know, you're bringing that couch away from the edge of the wall, you're bringing it in the center and you're looking for that, you know, those advantages of circulating around it. And those curved sofas, those curved chairs and stuff, they can make a lot of sense. A curved chair, I think, fits more things. This is a little bit curved and makes sense sense, right? Because it's smaller, but you are getting a lot of wasted real estate with these super, super curvy sofas. So I think for most people, they just don't practically make a lot of sense for their home, and they would probably be better off with something of a rectangle, I think. So yes, this is a trend. Sure, it's been definitely trendy for like 5 years. Is it a trend that's gonna last for a whole lot longer? And would I definitely put this on my 2025 list? No, because I think it's a little bit already sort of played out a little bit and not super hot and trendy, and probably isn't practical for the long term for most people. So I don't personally have a ton of faith that these are still gonna be popular in 3 or 4 years, because anybody that would have wanted a curved sofa has probably bought one already. Okay, so that's it for my day, guys. I hope you really enjoyed this video. I'm gonna link here to my 2025 interior designs that I love. So these are trends that I personally really enjoy, that I think are coming. So this was other people's lists, which I did agree with a lot of them, but this is actually my list. So check that out right here, and I will see you all in the next video. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.